Now tell us, you see, the African diaspora has become a very critical component of the African economy. We can base that on the remittances that we've been seeing coming in. Now Shaka Mobile is targeting that particular community. Tell us how you're doing that.
Yes, precisely. If you look at the international remittance market today, we are talking about 4 million African immigrants that live outside of Africa that remit annually about $40 billion into Africa. And if you actually look at the Kenyan situation, there's 1.5 million Kenyans currently living in the US that actually transfer every year $750 million of remittances into Kenya. What Shaka Mobile has decided to do is to use innovative ICT technologies and telecommunication technologies to enable African immigrants to be sending money back home more effectively and also at a better price.
Now competition, if I can speak about the East African space, there's M-Pesa, there's Zap, there's OboPay, which is a new one by the U network. What is Shaka going to do different? How are you going to stand out of the fast-growing crowd, if I can call it that?
We are going to be MVNO, which is a virtual mobile operator based out of the US. We are currently initially targeting the US to Africa corridors, and then we will be targeting the African immigrant communities also living in the UK and elsewhere in the world. Now, having said that, what we offer is a full range of prepaid mobile services. We are going to be offering voice services and voice packages. The African diaspora living in the US will be able to make phone calls and have unlimited calls back home to call their relatives and their families and their loved ones. But we're also going to be enabling international airtime top-up and international money transfer. So as a business model to start with, we are not a pure remittance player. So we are not competing with Western Union and MoneyGram on the full range of services. We are going to be competing with them only on the international money transfer piece. On the rest of it, we are going to be providing the traditional telecom services.
Now, who are the partners on the ground that you intend to work with? We've seen a bit of collaboration between banks and mobile phone companies such as Safaricom, Zain. Who are you going to work with?
To start with, we are working on the international, on the US side, with a company called M-Funds Global Payment Solutions, and they are going to be enabling for us the international remittance piece. As far as the local partnership is concerned, we are looking at partnering with major organizations that have footprints in the countries that we are targeting. So of course, as you are aware of, the first corridor we're really targeting specifically is the US to Kenya corridor, and in that context we are looking at partnering with PayNet, who have been establishing the Pesa Point ATMs. We are talking to banks like Family Bank, KCB, and Equity Bank to be able also to leverage their infrastructure in terms of their branches, their ATMs, to be able to disburse the remittances. And of course, in due course, we will be talking to Safaricom and Pesa and to Zain to also enable the disbursement and the payment of the remittances into these mobile wallets.
Let's look at some of the challenges currently facing the mobile phone sector. Of course, there's regulatory issues. There's been talk of possibilities of money laundering, security. How do you intend to tackle these issues, keeping in mind that it's, you know, from across borders? Yeah.
When it comes to the international remittance piece, we are partnering with M-Funds, as I mentioned, and there's going to be a background bank that's going to be supporting the processing of the transaction. So really there's a bank involved in the background for the international remittance piece, for the compliance element or the compliance side on the US side and the compliance aspects on the international side. We are going to be fully compliant with all the anti-money laundering and know your customer policies and regulations internationally. So they're not going to be a concern for us in that regards.
And what would you say have been the challenges or stumbling blocks along the way in setting up your business?
Well, I think it's really, first of all, to figure out the right business model, right? Because what we want to do is really be very competitive and very aggressive in terms of the pricing. Because when you think about the Kenyan diaspora, for instance, living in the US, they send in average $200 to $600 back home to their families every month. And every month for a person who sends, and that's 60% of their total disposable income. Now for a person that sends $200, paying a $20 fee on that transfer is really unfair. So we really wanted to come up with a business model that was disruptive, innovative, that doesn't necessarily change the existing usage patterns, because people will still go to agents, for instance, to be able to deposit money into the account. So we have a retail infrastructure in the US for customer origination. But we wanted to have a business model that was, from a cost perspective, very aggressive and much more efficient.
So where else after Kenya? There's a huge number of diasporans from countries like Zimbabwe, South Africa. So After Kenya, where else are you looking at?
Obviously, East Africa is a very interesting market because of the technology breakthrough that we see in East Africa in terms of mobile wallets and mobile-based money transfer schemes. So definitely we would like to leverage that. If you look at the international African immigrants living in the US, I think the most highly represented are the Nigerians. So obviously we'll look at Nigeria as a target priority market. We will be looking at Egypt, Ethiopia. Kenya is there, of course. We're going to look at Ghana, and then, of course, the East African countries and the other important corridors. And in a second stage, we will focus on the UK to Africa corridors as well. So right now, we're established in the US. We are starting to look at creating operations in the UK as well, given the number of African immigrants living in the UK. And that's going to be the second market that we're going to be targeting from a sending country perspective.
Now, on a broader perspective, and just perhaps to wind up as well, how do you see the mobile money arena playing out in 2010? Will it be the game changer it has been referred to as?
Well, I think definitely yes, and particularly in Africa. If you look at the global experiences today, there's an increasing trend in the use of ICT technologies and mobile technologies to enable cost-effective delivery of financial services to the people who are currently unbanked. Now, that innovation has taken a particularly interesting dimension in Africa, first of all because of Safaricom, or thanks to Safaricom, that has really put Kenya on the global map as the world leader when it comes to mobile wallet and disruptive and innovative technologies. You start seeing that trend developing also in the other African countries. So we've talked about Zain and Zap, that's launching their Zap product in different markets. We've seen Tigo, that's also looking at starting a number of mobile wallet initiatives. Orange has been launching Orange Money. MTN has been launching MTN Mobile Banking. So we now start seeing mushrooming and flourishing a number of mobile money and mobile wallet-based initiatives in all these African markets, and particularly in markets in East Africa like Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, where there's a very strong competition between the different mobile operators. They are becoming more and more aggressive in pushing the mobile wallet agenda. So what we're going to soon see is a very large-scale adoption in those countries where the banking penetration is very low and the fixed line infrastructure is still in a very modest stage. We're going to see the adoption of mobiles to start using the mobile wallets and mobile technology for financial transactions. And I think Africa is going to be the continent that's going to be seeing the highest adoption rates of these new technologies.